All right, I think we live everywhere. Um, About to do another coding challenge. I'm gonna give it a couple more minutes, or I guess a couple more seconds. See if some people join. But yeah, it's been a minute. I need to get back on here more often. Get on these coding challenges. But I'm back on it now, so we're gonna see if this gonna stay a theme for the year, for the rest of the year. I already kind of failed on this year so far, but I think this might be my first coding challenge of the year. So I'm sorry. I know I said before I was gonna do more of these, but I'm back now. I'm gonna start trying to do more coding challenge streams, and I'm gonna start doing like Q&As. And so it's gonna take me a little bit of time, but I'm gonna get back into the swing of things and start doing this stuff more often. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go ahead and just get started. Like, this is these things take a little bit of time to do. I'm trying to get through with this, enjoy the rest of my day, and I'm practicing in front of y'all. Help me out, help me get a little bit better, and hopefully it's helpful to somebody that's watching this stream. So if you know what these are, if you code, you probably know what these are. If you're new, you may not, and if you don't code, you probably don't know it all. But these are called coding challenges, and one of the most biggest coding challenge websites is called LeetCode.com, LeeCode.com. And so there you can go and practice these coding challenge problems. A lot of times they get put on interviews, coding interviews. So a lot of companies copying like these big companies like Facebook, Google, and stuff like that. They end up copying these companies to ask these questions. Like, I think Google is the one who started doing these type of coding challenge questions, and a lot of companies started copying them. And so then somebody went and made this site with like thousands of coding challenges that people can do in practice. So I'm sure a lot of y'all know that. Some of y'all may not know that. But yeah, we're gonna do. Somebody asked, "What are we doing? Working on Wisdom Seeker. Gonna work on a coding challenge today. It's a easy problem, or it's considered easy, from LeetCode.com, called Add Binary. Yeah, I'm gonna work through the problem, try to solve it. I solved it a few months ago, so hopefully it's fresh enough to where I can solve it without breaking down here. But we'll see. Hopefully, maybe I can get some help if I start struggling on it. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get started on it. Yeah, I don't think there's no reason to wait. Just gonna go ahead and get started on it. So yeah, this problem's from LeetCode.com, called Add Binary. So it goes as such: given two binary strings A and B, return their sum as a binary string. So the question, is pretty simple. It's not a long question like they usually have. An example here is string 1 1 and 1. They add together, become 100. And so I think the hard part of this question is you got to know what a binary string is. You got to know what a binary number is. And so binary number, instead of the number having like digits 1 through, usually a number consists of a list of digits that are like 0 through 9. And those digits put together make some sort of number. With a binary string or a binary number, you're only having a 0 or a 1 in the number. And so as you can see here in these examples, you got 1 1 plus 1, and you got 1 0 1 0 plus 1 0 1 1, and that still gives you another binary number, which is only consists of ones and zeros. So like they say here, A and B consist of only 1 and 0 characters. These are the constraints that they give you in the problem. These are super important when doing these problems, or they can be, because they kind of let you know the limits of. They help you solve the problem by letting you know the limits of things, that the assumptions you can make, the things that you do need to account for or don't need to account for. So here I know all my characters in string A and B are always going to be 1 or 0, so I can kind of like write my code based on that. And I can basically assume or know that the length of string A, so like this is string A, and the length of string B, this is string B, will never be more than 10 to the fourth power, which basically means that like I'm never going to have a length so high that it's going to like cause issues like overflow issues in my programming language, which is something you can kind of learn about separately. So, and then each string does not contain leading zeros except for 0 itself. So that's something like edge case to account for is or something to assume, and an edge case that you might have to account for based on that on what they're saying there. So given two binary strings A and B, return their sum as a binary string. And so going back to the example, you have 1 1 plus 1 equals output of 100. And it might look kind of weird, but you also, the thing you have to know before you do this problem is how to add binary numbers manually. And what I like to do anyway when I solve problems like this, when I used to do them on here all the time, is that I would make sure that I could at least do the problem in my head or do it down like on paper, like write it down or like type up some like pseudo code or pseudo notes. Make sure you can solve the problem logically yourself, or at least come up with a plan before you start writing the code. And that's what you want to do with the interviewer if you're doing this in the interview, as it'll help. They'll kind of be able to guide you to the right direction if you're going in the wrong direction, or they'll be maybe able to give you a hint or a clue. But you always want to talk through what you're thinking through. And so when I look at this, knowing how to add binary strings and numbers together is the most important part. And so the important piece about binary numbers is when you add zeros, always zero. So if you add zeros together, you still get 0. If you add 0 plus 1, then you get 1. But if you add 1 plus 1, then instead of getting 2, you actually get 1 0. So you get like 10 in a sense, but it's really just one, like binary 1 0. And then if you add 3 things together, like 3 ones together, you get 1 1. And I know it's kind of weird, but like you just have to kind of know that about binary, like adding binary numbers in order to sort of solve this problem. And so I can like go to the code here. Oh shoot, my screen not updating. Hold on. My screen is not updating for some reason. Gotta fix it. All right, now it's fixed. So I'm gonna go ahead and write that down over here. It's like with binary numbers. 0 plus 0 equals 0. 0 plus 1 equals 1. 1 plus 0, could do the other direction, still equals 1. And then 1 plus 1 actually gonna give you 1 0. And then 1 plus 1 plus 1 will give you 1 1. And so the important thing to know, when you add numbers together in normal addition, whenever you get 2 digits, like if you're adding it, like how you add numbers, like put 1 on the top, put 1 on the bottom, add the digits together. If you have a remainder or whatever, a carry, you carry that over to the next like row, a column or whatever. You got to do that here. So if I get 1 plus 1, 1 0, I need to carry the 1, just like you do in normal addition. And then if I get 1 plus 1 plus 1, get 11 or 1 1, I still need to carry this 1. So like this is important for how I'm going to write the algorithm to solve this problem. And that's how you kind of see how this works. So like if it's and I could do an example over here just to kind of show what I'm talking about. So let's pretend we're doing the problem 1. We're doing 1 1 plus 1. And so we're going to add 1 and 1. That's going to give you this 10 here. So 1 and 1, the first thing you're going to get is 0, because 1 and 1 plus 1 equals 0 with a carry of 1. So I want to carry the 1 up here. So that gives me another 1 plus 1. So then I'm going to put 0 again. But then I have to carry the 1 again, which goes up here. And then I have to pull that 1 down. And 1 plus 0 just equals 1. So you actually get 100. So 11 plus 1 in binary addition equals 100. And that's what they got over here. So I hope that makes sense. That's really not it's critical to know that for this problem, but unfortunately, if you got this problem in the interview, you'd either have to ask if you don't know how to add binary numbers, you'd either have to ask the interviewer, or you'd have to kind of learn it on, just struggle through it on your own and try to figure out how to do it. Hopefully the interviewer would at least tell you how to add binary numbers if you didn't know, or they would give you the clues, which I gave right here. So I'm going to delete this part and we're going to start on the code. So for anybody that just joined, basically what we're doing, the problem is called add binary, and basically you're just giving 2 binary strings, A and B. You need to return their sum also as a binary string. So that's the important part too, is that I'm not actually dealing with numbers here. I'm dealing with strings. And so I'm going to have to try to add these together as strings. But I think what I can do is convert them to numbers and then convert them back to strings when I do the adding. And how I'm going to add is basically how I did in the example over here. I'm just going to look at kind of how you add binary numbers, and I'm just going to make sure that I follow those rules accordingly. And yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. So yeah, I'm going to start in the code. Shoot, man. Oh, yeah. Somebody just said in TikTok, binary, going, the direction I go is super important. Like if I'm going to add 2 numbers together, like I had in my example, like if I'm going to add 1 plus 1, you're going from right to left here. When you add this column first, then you carry over the 1, then you add this column, you get a 0, and you carry over the 1, and then you do this third column that doesn't have anything in it, and you just get the 1. So my code actually needs to run backwards through adding my strings together. So that's an important piece that somebody just brought up. So, or I think they brought up. So, or at least made me think of it. So let's go ahead and get started in the code. So, what's the first thing I want to do? I know that the problem said to return the sum as a string. So I'm gonna go ahead and just create a var called sum and just set it to equal string. So I know that this sum is what I'm going to end up returning. I'm also going to go ahead and just return it at the end. So I'm just going to get I see a lot of people when I'm interviewing people, they'll mess up on like forgetting to return the answer, or they just screw up on that part. Even though they solved everything, they'll screw up on just returning the sum at the end. So sometimes it's good to just go ahead and just do that ahead of time so you get out the way. So anyway, yeah, I got a sum here. What I want to start doing, I know I need to add my 2 numbers together, and I need to start from like the end of these and add them together. And I might just leave this up here so it like is a visual for like adding the 2 numbers together. So if you're going to add, I got to put these comments here, and then you're going to get, put another space here. Y'all will see what I'm doing in a minute. Yeah, so this is the example of a binary addition. 1 plus 1 or 1 plus 1 gives you 100. Because you add these together, 0 carry the 1, gives you 0 here, you carry the 1, and 1 comes down, you get 100. That's binary addition based on these, based on how you add everything up here. And so in my code, I know if I'm going to replicate this in my code, that's basically what I'm doing. I just need to replicate this type of addition in my code. this little thing you learn when you're a little kid. You don't learn it with binary numbers, you learn it with regular numbers, but it's the same principle of how you learn to add as a kid using the columns and everything. I don't even know what you call that. Like, let me know if you know what to even call that. I don't even know what you call that. But anyway, I know I'm going through a long thought. Somebody said that KG.codes. I know I'm going through a long thought process. This is what you would do in the internet or in an interview. You would let them know your thought process. You probably wouldn't take this long. I'm definitely over explaining some things, but this is a good way to kind of help me prepare for interviews, prepare for interviewing people, and hopefully help people out there that's watching this of how you need to be talking when you're in an interview. You need to be basically saying everything you're thinking and everything you're doing, even if it's wrong, because the interviewer may be able to help coach you if you're in the wrong spot. But if you're not saying anything, they're not going to know what to say. So anyway, I need to I want to loop through my numbers, my two numbers I'm adding together backwards, because I want to start at the end of the numbers and try to add those two numbers together. And then I want to go left through the numbers and add them together column by column, just like addition, like you do when you're doing addition with pen and paper. And so how I can do that is I can start with setting up an index A at the end of the string. So if you do A length, that gives me the length of the string minus 1 gives me the last index of my string A. So I want to, if you know how arrays work and strings work. Oh shoot, it's my light. My light went out, but it'll be all right. But if you know how strings work in JavaScript, you can pretty much access them as arrays anyway. So I can call length on the string, and then I can get the index for the string by subtracting 1, because all the indexes start in JavaScript start at 0. So by subtracting the 1 and using the length of the string, I get the last index in that string. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm probably over explaining too much like simple JavaScript stuff, but people on different levels, So yeah, now I got the sum, I got the index 1, index A and index B, which start at the end of the string. So basically I got the position of this number and the position of this number, so I can get ready to try to add them together. And what I want to do is actually start a while loop. And what I want to be my conditions, I think I want it to be, so when index A, when I get all the way to the 0, which is that's the first index in a array. When I get to 0, I want to, while this loop is less than or equal to 0, or while index B is less than or equal to 0, because if one of these numbers is bigger than the other, I still need to keep going, even if the other number is done, like there's no index left. So it needs to be an or here, and I need to stop when both of these have gotten to be less than 0. Or if I have a carry. So that means I ran out of numbers, but I have a carry that I took over up here. So that reminds me, I need somewhere to store my carry value, and I don't think I did that. So let me just add carry equals 0 here. Or or if carry, so I guess the carry needs to be greater than, or if carry equals 1. Because it only ever be 1 or 0. So if carry equals 1, then I do want to stay inside my while loop. It's because I need to place that carry over. And so, so here, now I got a loop that I'm looping through here. So basically what I want to do with index A and index B that are at these points, I need to get the numbers. These are just indexes. I need to actually get the number out of the string. And so what I can do is actually, and I'm gonna use a const here because these won't change, but I can do is say I want to get the value of A. Now I got the index of A. I need to actually get the value of A out of the original string by using the index. And this is how you use arrays in JavaScript and probably every other programming language. You have to use an index, and you can use the index as an accessor in the array to get the value that you want. So I'm getting the value of A out of the string, which strings can be converted to an array in JavaScript, or they already are an array. And I'm accessing the index, the character at that index. But the thing I actually want to do here now too, which probably wouldn't be something that somebody would realize off bat, but I actually here I want to convert this to this is a string. These are coming in as strings, just like my problem said it would. These are strings. I actually want to convert these values into integers, and I'm gonna do that with a ternary. So I'm gonna basically, I got my string here, like my string at index A, which would be, in this case, it would be this character right here, 1. But it's not, it's a string, it's not a number. I want it to be a number, so I actually would say if this equals 1, which it does, then I'm gonna use a ternary, which is basically like a fancy way to do an if statement. I'm gonna say give me set value A to the number 1 instead of the string 1. So I'm basically doing a conversion right here. This colon means if not, then set it to 0. Now this, if you're new to like programming or JavaScript, this ternary might look a little weird to you, but basically this is the if statement, which maybe I'll try to make it a little bit more clear by putting this into, yeah. So this is basically like a condition, not even an if statement, but it's a condition to say, if what I have my value at index A in my string array A is equal to 1, then just give me, when you set this, give me 1, like set it to 1 the number, the integer, instead of 1 the string. Otherwise, just set it to 0, because over here in my problem statement it's guaranteed to be either 1 or 0, all the characters in A or B. So I can just guarantee that if it's equal to 1 string, then I know it's gonna be 1. If it's not equal to 1 string, then it's gotta be 0. And then I could do the same thing, copy and paste for B, because I need my value of B too. And I can say if B equals 1, or sorry, B, yeah, then give me 1 or 0. The other thing that this does also is that these strings may not be the same length, so I may get to a point where the index of A and B actually don't point to anything. And so if they don't point to anything, then they won't equal 1, and I'll just go ahead and assume that they're 0, because like the absence of anything is actually can just be replaced with 0. So this whole thing actually does multiple things. Like it converts to the string to numbers. It handles the edge case where I've run out of numbers for one of my strings. The strings are different lengths, and it'll default and set the value to 0 if the string doesn't have anything there. Because I mean, it's the same thing. Like this could be, 0, 1 or 0, 0, 0, 1. Like there's zeros, logical zeros in front of each of these places. And so that's what this handles. This end of this ternary is handling here. So that's an important point to make there. Yeah, so then we move on. So now we got our value A and B. And now we need to add these numbers together. So let's create a new variable called added values. Yeah, added values. And just add value A plus value B plus our carry, because can't forget about the carry, because we don't have a carry yet in the first time this loop runs, but we might have a carry. We could have a carry. So, sorry, not might, but we don't have it in the first time that it runs, but we might have it in the subsequent times that it runs once we set a carry later. So I'm going to go ahead and put the carry there, because I know that we're either going to be adding this, or we're going to be adding a carry to one of these. and then everything else that's empty will be like a 0. Either the carry will be a 0, or one of these will be a 0, or both will be a 0. So basically, I know every time I add something in a column, I'm either adding a carry, I'm adding value A, or I'm adding value B. And so that will give me my added values for that column. And so now, once I get the added values for that column, now it's kind of like, and that basically, I should have kind of added that here. Like, if you think of this as A, like this is A and this is B, and then the third one is the carry. Like, I actually could add 0 here on each of these. And you can see that as the carry value. And so I kind of can do it like that. I think like if I have 0, 0, no carry, 0, 1, no carry, 0, 0, no carry, 1, 1, no carry, and then 1, 1, then a carry. I think I get all of my, and you can swap these around. So I don't know. You might not need to add the zeros here. I don't know, actually. It's kind of like messing my mind up to even think about it. But it's basically the different states. Like, basically when you add these together, you're going to get to multiple different states. And so what I want to do is handle those states. So based off what this value is, I'll know if I should have a carry, if I should put a 1, if I should put a 0, like what should I be doing? And this will make more sense when I add the if statement. Somebody said what version of var is what version of JS is this? We don't use var anymore. Yeah, we don't have to use var. I just use var because LeetCode was using var here, but we can use let. That is better to use. So thank you for that comment. var would be hosted to the top of the scope that you're in, the file, and then let would be scoped within this function here. So it is better to use there. And then these will be changing, so they're let, and these are constant values that won't change within their scope. And so I'll just use const for those. So yeah, thanks for that, Satchel Universe. Appreciate you mentioning that. Yeah, so if added value, now I want to check just what the values of added value is. So if added values equals 0, then basically I want to add to my sum. I want to add I'm converting back to a string. I want to add the string to my sum. And so basically what this, you can, with strings in JavaScript, you can use this like plus sign to like concatenate strings. And so my sum starts off as an empty string. I know if I get a 0, I need to add a 0 to the left side of my string. Because, like, when you're adding stuff, you're looking in rows and it's going from left to right. So I'm going to add it to the front of my sum. And then I'm going to set my carry equal to 0 because I have no carry. So remember this case, when it's 0, in this case, I'm just going to I'm like adding 0. I'm setting my sum to 0, and then I'm checking if I have a carry. I don't have a carry if it's 0. And so, yeah, I wonder if I could do this a little bit, make this more clear. If like, and that's just gonna make it more confusing. But yeah, anyway, yeah, I get 0. And so I think it'll be more clear once I go through all the cases. So what if added values equals 1? So if added values equals 1, then my sum is actually 1, and I don't have a carry in that case. Because, yeah, I don't have a carry because it's just 1. But if added values equals 2, now I have now you see added values equals 2. So when I have 1 plus 1, this is supposed to be, yeah, I think it will make it clear because it's supposed to be, so like, I'm sorry, I'm going all over the place, but yeah, this case is 0. Normally 0 plus 0 equals 0. In the binary case, it also equals 0. Normally 0 plus 1 equals 1. And in the binary case, it also equals 1. Normally 1 plus 0 equals 1. And in the binary case, it equals 1. Normally 1 plus 1 equals 2. But in the binary case, it actually equals 10. Normally 1 plus 1 plus 1 equals 3. But in the binary case, it equals 11. So I hope this makes it more clear. Like, these are the regular numbers, but these are the numbers I should be setting in binary state. So that's why when I add these together, I'm getting a regular number. But here in these if statements, I'm converting that regular number. If it's 0, 1, 2, or 3, I'm going to convert it to what it should be in binary, if that makes sense. So here, when added values equals 0, I'm in this case, I get 0, so I should set the binary value to 0. And so I add it here. Since there's only one digit, I have no carry. So when added values equals 1 up here, it should be 1 with no carry. So I set my sum to 1, add that to the sum, and I have no carry. But now when it gets interesting when we get to 2. When 1 plus 1 equals, when added values equals 2, I should get 10. So in my ones place, I got a 0. So in that case, that means my sum, I'm actually going to add a 0 there. So I'm adding my 0 in my ones place, but I got to carry, just like here, you need to carry up the 1. My ones place needs to carry because I can only add 1 digit per column. So now I finally can set my carry to 1. And in the last final case, the only thing possible here, since these can only be 0 and 1, the only possible other value is 3. This equals 1, this equals 1, this equals 1. So the final possible value is 3. And now I need to handle that case. In that case, when there's 3 ones, I get 3 in added values. But I need to convert it to this, which 1 is in the ones place, and then I have 1 that gets carried. And that's just how you add binary numbers for anybody that is confused to like why this is up here. Like, this is binary addition and not regular addition if you join in late. So yeah, so it'd be 1 in the ones place. Oh, I screwed that up. Plus sum. And then the carry would still be, and sorry if I'm not seeing your comments. Like, it's these coding challenges, they hard enough to do when you ain't talking, but when you talking and like trying to pay attention to everything, it's tough. But I'm gonna definitely answer questions and stuff afterwards. But yeah, so they got 1 in the ones place here, and it gets carried, and then I go to the top of my loop and I have my carry if I need it to get used again. So I'm looking at this, it looks pretty good. The last thing is this while loop, I need to iterate it to the next index. The indexer is what I'm using to go through, one by one from left to right, or from right to left, I'm sorry. Go into ones place, go into twos place, and threes place. So I actually need, since I'm looping through my strings backwards, I actually need to, at the end of the while loop, index A, I need to decrement it, and then index B, I need to also decrement it. So that means I start at, when I started this thing out, I started at the end of my strings, and I found a bug here, which that should be B. I started at the end of my strings, and then I start looping at the last character of my string, and then when I loop the first loop, I go back 1 place by decrementing these indexes, which will point me at the tens place and then the hundreds place, and then so it'll keep decrementing until I get to the point where I'm less than 0, and I don't have any carries, and then I'll be through. And so I always either set the carries to 1 or 0 as well. So it'll always work there. So I think it's fine. And so if you're in an interview, sometimes they won't let you, and I don't know how this got slid over, but sometimes they won't let you actually, it won't let you run the code, and they will make you talk through the code and run through the code like line by line, by hand, or by typing. I can do that. I'm trying to think if I should do that or just run it. I'll probably just run it since I've been on here a long time, and just explain what I'm doing. Yeah, it looks good. Yeah, I mean, I get the sum at the end. I'm thinking if I should just run it though. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that this first time, but yeah, I'll think about it. Let me think about it for a second if I should do it. So much code here to run through. Yeah, maybe I'll run through like the first iteration of it to show that this code is working. Because if you're in an interview, I've been at interviews where they don't allow you to run the code. You gotta literally explain and prove to them that your code works without even running it. And so that's an important skill to have. But some places like they'll have it where you can run it and you just, and it's fine. So it just depends. So let's use this example. We got 11 plus 1, it gives you 100. What I end up doing when I show in an interview, I keep track of all the variables. So like what sum equals at that time, what carry equals at that time, and then what index equals, index A equals, index B equals. So we know A is going to be 11. So I'm going to put that here. A equals 11. B equals 1. We know sum starts as an empty string, and then carry starts at 0. Index A is going to start as it's the length of A minus. So let's go line by line. Sum got set to empty string, so I'll put that here. Carry got set to 0, so I'll put that here. Index 1 is A length, which is 2, because there's 2 things in there. So the length of A is 2 minus 1. That gives you 2 minus 1, gives you 1. B length minus 1. The length is 1 minus 1. It gives you an index of 0. And so while index A is greater than or equal to 0, it is because it's 1. Or index, so I already know I'm going in there because of this first one. Because since these are ors, I don't even have to check anymore. So I'm going in here because this one is true. So value A, if the index at A, if the index A, the position of index A in the string A equals to 1, then set this to 1, otherwise set it to 0. So the index A, we just said that's 1, and that would be this position in A. So it is equal to the string 1. It is equal to the string 1, so I would get 1 here. So value A in this case right now would be 1, a string, just the integer 1. And then for B, it's asking, is it equal to 1? It is equal to 1 at index B, which is 0, which is this. So I'm going to get 1 for that. And then carry, we know the carry from up here is 0. So now added values. We got value A, which is here. That's 1 plus value B plus 1 plus carry, which is 0. So 1 plus 1 gives you 2. And I just spit all over the place. So I'm working hard when I'm just spitting all over the place. Like you working pretty hard then. So anyway, yeah, this give you 2. And then so now we're going on our if statements. If added values equal 0, no, it don't equal 0. No, it don't equal 1. It does equal 2. So we're gonna go into here and we're gonna add 0 to the front of our sum. So now basically with string concatenation, just add 0 into here. And then we're going to set carry equal to 1. So now I'm going to change carry up here to equal to 1. And then we're going to skip this if statement, and we're going to come and decrement A and decrement B. And so once we decrement B, we get -1. We decrement A, we get 0. We're almost done. And so now we're at the bottom of this loop. We're going to come back to the top of the loop. Is A less than or equal to 0? Yeah, it's less than or equal to 0 because it's 0. So we can go ahead and go up in here. And then we're going to get the value of A index. So that the index is at 0. So that's going to give you this 1. So it's still going to be 1. And then B is -1. So there's actually no character here. So it does not equal 1. So it's actually going to be 0 because there's no -1 index in B. It's not possible to pull a negative index out of a array. And so I'm actually going to get 0 here, which I should, because here there's no 0 place. There is a ones place. There is a tens place here. I'm sorry, there's a 10. There's no number in the tens place, but there is for string A. There's no number in the tens place for string B. And so yeah, I'm gonna get here 1 0. Then I'm gonna erase that. Added values is A plus B. So that's 1 plus 0 plus the carry, which did get set to 1. So I actually get 2 again. And then that means I'm gonna go through my loop, my if statements here. I'm gonna get down to 2. And I'm gonna add another 0 to my sum in the front. So in the front, I'm gonna prepend a 0 to the front, and I'm gonna still keep my carry as 1 because I got another carry that I gotta carry over. So carry is gonna stay 1, and I'm gonna get down here and set these again. And so this is gonna go to -1. This is gonna go to -2. Is A less than or equal to 0? And I'll shoot. This is wrong. See, this is why you read through it, because this needs to be while greater than or equal to 0. While greater than or equal to 0. And that's why you read through the code. That's why the interviewers ask you to do that, because you can end up finding bugs without even running it. So this should be greater than. And so yeah, is index A greater than or equal to 0? It's not. Or is index B greater than or equal to 0? No, it's not, because it's -2. Or is carry equal to 1? Carry is still equal to 1, as I said it right here. So I still actually gonna go in this loop with the carry, and that's what we saw up here. Even when we're done adding these, we had one more carry up here in this empty column that we had to bring down from adding the other numbers together. And so that's what's happening in my code. My code is replicating basically this addition that happened here. And so I'm getting in here with this one carry. And here I'm going to get 0 again because this index doesn't exist in the string. -2 doesn't exist in this string. So I'm just going to default to both of these being 0. But my carry, so I'm going to get 0 plus the carry, which is equal to 1. So I'm actually going to get 1 in this case. And so then I'm going to go into a different part. I'm going to skip this condition. I'm going to get to this 1 condition. I'm going to go into here. And I'm going to add 1 to the front of the sum. So 1 to the front of my sum. And then I'm going to set the carry to 0. So now my carry is going to 0. And then I'm going to go to the end here and take these down negative again. So that's -2, -3. And my loop's going to start over. And we already know that these are -2 and -3. They're not greater than or equal to 0, not greater than or equal to 0. And my carry is not equal to 1 anymore. It's equal to 0. So I'm not going to go in this loop. I'm finally done with the loop. And I'm going to go all the way past the loop and return the sum. What is the sum right now? The sum is a string of 100, which is our answer. That's the answer that's in the example. 11 plus 1 and binary added together, you get a string of 100. And so basically my solution is taking the string A and B, converting it to numbers that I can add together, adding those numbers together, and then looking at the result of those numbers and converting it to a sum, digit place, and a carry. And then at the end, I just return the sum. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to erase all these comments out of here. But yeah, it looks like it's working to me. If I was in an interview and they didn't have me run the code, I'd probably just end right there, and they probably tell me to talk about the time complexity. Space and time complexity is denoted in big O, something called big O notation. It basically is a way to describe how complex, how much time your algorithm will take to run at scale. When as the input scales up, how efficient is your algorithm, and how will it scale? Will it scale slowly? Will it scale linearly? Will it run just as good with a lot of input versus if it doesn't have a lot of input? Or does it scale exponentially? Does it have to run more operations? Is more data you put in it, is it actually scaling out of control? That's kind of what big O notation and time complexity is getting you to talk about. And so space complexity is how much actual data structures, like how much data you're storing in the algorithm. And then time complexity is how many actual operations that you're running. And so for this algorithm, I have A and B are my input. So time complexity and space complexity are always based on the input, because that's what can grow in size. And like this gives you the clue here, is they give you that A and B, the length of A and B is going to be always greater than 1, and it's going to be less than 10. So it could be up to 10 to the 4th power. So a pretty high number of digits possibly. And so here, operations like this don't depend on the size of my input to run. Even getting the length of A and getting the length of B they run in constant time, because how JavaScript works, it keeps this length in a constant, and you can just pull it at any time without it. It doesn't matter how big A or B is, it's still going to be constant time. So these operations are actually constant operations that don't tie to the size of our input. Now here, this loop, I'm going to loop for whichever is longer, A or B. I'm basically going to have to loop through +1, which is constant. I might have 1 carry, but it's always going to be the length. This will always run the length of the longest A or B string, because I have to keep looping until I add whichever one is the longest number, of course. And so this, if you call the length of the longest between A or B, just call it N. Just call it a different variable. Call the length of it a different variable. So let's say A is longer in this case, so let's call A length. Let's call it N. In big O notation, you would say this algorithm runs in big O of N time complexity. It has big O of N time complexity. It's linear time complexity. So as big as A gets, if A is the biggest, that's how many times that this while loop will have to run, +1. But as you know, the 1 is constant, so constant operation like these and having this extra 1 that might have to run, we reduce that in time complexity, because when you're talking about, if this runs 100 times +1, if it runs 1,000,000 times +1, or 100 million times +1, that 1, as it scales up, that 1 starts to become more meaningless and more meaningless, and these constant operations start to become more meaningless and meaningless. And so we actually don't include those in time space complexity calculations, if that makes sense. That time space is a whole nother concept, and I try to explain everything through these, but yeah, I'm probably going a little bit too deep into time space. But basically, from what I'm seeing, this algorithm would be big O of N based on whichever one is larger, A or B. So it might be like big O of the max of, if you call the length of A N and you call the length of B M, then it will be big O of the max of N and M, like whichever one's higher. So yeah, that one's kind of a weird time complexity one, just because it has these two things that you have to add and loop. And yeah, everything inside of here is basically constant operations that I'm doing. They they don't scale with the size of the input. This loop is really the only thing in my algorithm that scales with the size of A and B, the length of A and B. Everything else in here doesn't scale with it. These are just constant operations that happen inside the loop. And that's something that you maybe can study a little bit more to kind of understand. It may be hard to understand at first. Time complexity and space complexity are kind of tough to get. And as far as space complexity, I'm not using any data structures outside of the original strings that I got. As far as data structures that will increase with the size of my input. So I'm not using like a map, or I'm not using a second array. I'm just using the arrays that I was given. So actually my algorithm is big O of 1, which is constant space, because I'm not, basically once this algorithm runs, it's just running. It doesn't add any more. It doesn't take up any more space than the original strings that I pulled in, which is nice. So yeah, so I can put that here. I think, and I might not be writing this right, but I think this is big O of n, max of n and m, time complexity, and then for space complexity is big O, and I could be wrong here, big O of 1, which is constant space complexity. So that's kind of how you denote that. You will get asked about that in the interview if they give you a coding challenge for sure. So now, finally, the moment of truth. I know that took a long time, but moment of truth is finally we're running this. And somebody asked, yeah, what's the best way to learn space and time complexity? I would say there's this, YouTube, of course, YouTube University, that's free. Somebody just search through videos till you find a video that sticks and makes sense to you, that you feel like the person is explaining it best. That's a free option. If you want something more in depth, then I suggest Algo Monster. I'll show it after I get done. It's called algomonster.com. It's paid, but it really explains to you like time complexity up front, and then it goes through to kind of help you learn how to do these coding challenges, learn the foundations of the coding challenges versus just trying to do a bunch of problems and memorize them, which is the better way to prepare for these things. And so anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and if the screen show, I'm gonna go ahead and run this actually. If I can get this a little smaller so you can see. Where do I run it? Oh yeah, up here. So yeah, I ran it, got accepted for test case 1. So 11 plus 1 gives you 100. They expected 100. I gave them 100. Test case 2. For 1010 plus 1011, you should get 10,101, and that's what I got. I gave them what they asked for. And so these are the 2 test cases basically from over here. I passed those 2 examples. So LeetCode nicely lets you try out the 2 examples. LeetCode also has a submit where you can submit it against a lot more test cases and more strenuous test cases, because that's the thing about what these algorithms are trying to test. They're trying to test scale as well. Like here, these are 4 characters each, but what if this is 1,000,000 characters, or what if this is 10 billion characters getting added together? How does my algorithm perform with scale when these numbers are really high? And that's why you talk about space and time complexity. Like if your space complexity is not good, and you have these real big numbers you're trying to add, then you could you could be using resources for the company, database, runtime memory, whatever the case is. And if the time complexity isn't good, then you could be using up CPU cycles or running up the CPU usage on the machines that your code is running on, because it's not efficient. Like if it's not linear, or if it's like quadratic. Like I wish I had an example. This problem is pretty good on time and space complexity. I wish I had an example of like a bad problem or a bad solution where it exponentially increases the number of runs as the size of A and B increase. And so that's where that comes from. But anyway, this is gonna run against everything. Hopefully I get it right. Yeah. So I got it right in the first first go without even having to change any code, which is pretty good. But this is one I've done before. I'm not gonna front. I did do this one before in the past, probably like 2 or 3 months ago. So it's not like completely gone from my mind. But yeah, so yeah, I got that right. It's analyze complexity. See what they say. Time complexity. Yeah, so yep, just like I thought, the time complexity of the LeetCode says is big O of max between N and M, whichever one is higher. And I think I said that over here. That was what I was worried about. Yeah, max between M and M. So it's really the biggest, whichever one of these lengths is the longest, is how your linearly this algorithm would scale. And so yeah, beat 21%. Memory, I beat 99%. I guess because I didn't use any memory, but a lot of people were able to do this better than me, I guess. But you gotta take these with a grain of salt, because you run this thing multiple times, you get like completely different answers. So I don't really look at that too much, but I do look at that out of 296 test cases that my code passed, so which is great. So yeah, that's basically the problem. Yep, that's the problem, called add binaries, number 67 from LeetCode.com. It's LeetCode.com if you want to go there and check it out yourself. Yeah, and so yeah, that's how the problem goes. It's I think I explained everything I would explain in the interview. I probably took way longer. In the interview, you'd probably be expected to do a problem like this. If you're junior, they may give you 30 minutes to do it. If you're like mid-level senior, you probably have 15 minutes to do a problem like this. Probably at like a big FANG company like Facebook, Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they probably wouldn't ask. They may not ask something this simple, but they'd probably ask a problem on this level, just a different problem, and probably give you like 15 minutes amongst other problems and other questions they ask you. So you would do this a lot faster than I did. I wouldn't be explaining nearly as much if I was in a real interview, but I would explain a lot. I would explain my thought process. I would, show what I'm doing and all that kind of stuff. So, yep. And they would ask me about the time complexity and ask me to explain it. And what happens is, why they do that is, what happens is, like, sometimes you can come up with a solution, but it's just not efficient. And so you have to, it's not efficient. So you'd have to maybe improve it, or you have to talk about why it's not efficient, so it just depends. So I can answer a couple questions. Somebody said, I did it slightly different. Can I post a gist of my solution? Or you can let me know how you did it. Oh, you said, I have tried reversing the array. This is Satchel Universe on Instagram. I tried, reversing the array, or have you tried reversing the array and iterating over it? Then so reverse the array and then iterate over it. You could do that, but I'm just going through it backwards. I think reversing the array and then iterating over it would probably be the same thing as going over it backwards, actually, if that makes sense. Like I'm looping through it backwards. Reversing it and then looping through it forwards is pretty much looping through it backwards. But I think you actually may save time with save time complexity by not reversing it, because reversing it, that's actually like takes time complexity. But it's still linear, so I guess it's not that bad. You just kind of looping through your strings in order to reverse it. The code is, you may call like JavaScript reverse or something like that, but under the hood of that call, it's actually going through one by one and reversing the order. Like that actually does add into your time complexity. So I'd say it's probably more efficient to just loop through it backwards without having to do this extra step of reversing the strings. Maybe so. Maybe it's fine. I think it's fine. I think you probably be fine doing that. It would definitely make it a little easier to tell what's going on. Probably doing stuff backwards is always harder than doing stuff forward. So I appreciate you adding that in. Yep. What's the best way to learn this stuff? Let me see if there's other comments. I got a lot of people ask. So as long as their value will remain a constant. I'm sorry, Dread the poet. I might have lost the context of what you was asking for that one. In the context of time complexity. Oh, okay. Yeah. As long as it's, let me see what you asked exactly though. So as long as there is a value, it will remain a constant. And you said as far as in the context of time complexity. What do you mean as long as there's value? I'm probably losing what you mean, but I know it's a good question. That's why I want to make sure I answer it. As long as there is a value, he said, as long as there's a value, it will remain a constant, or it will remain constant. Time complexity. Yeah, I mean, maybe ask that again, and I can maybe try to figure out what you're asking and answer more clearly. Oh, Kenneth. What up, Kenneth? Are you going to Render? Yeah, Render ATL conference. It's happening in a couple weeks. I'm definitely going to that. So if anybody else is going to that, let me know. Come up, shake my hand. Let me know. If you see me, and if I see you, I'll do the same thing. Yeah, and Kenneth, I think we went to the first one I went to in 2023. The first one I went to, and we were like walking around the conference together. He cool dude. So hope to see you again, man. I'm definitely going again this year. Yeah, and Render ATL is like a it used to be like a JavaScript conference, like a I think React conference or JavaScript conference, but now they cover like everything, AI, front end, back end. It's a good conference to go look for programming jobs or jobs in tech in general. Good place to meet people, network, learn stuff. It does cost. It's in Atlanta. So yeah, come through. I'm not like I'm not connected to the conference anyway. It's about the only conference I go to every year, just because it's just the networking is powerful. The vibes are cool. It's like a real cool conference. Like, look it up. It's called Render ATL. Yeah, great conference. I talk about it a lot because it's like the only one I go to for real. Not gonna lie, I really like your content. You always see people talking about these and giving advice, but you doing it with us, showing your experience through the thought process feels reassuring. Man, I appreciate that. KG.codes, I appreciate that, man, because like sometimes I stop doing these because I was like, man, this ain't really doing nothing for nobody. But yeah, I do think I remember when I first started doing coding challenges on like Instagram, TikTok and stuff, I was like the only one doing them at all. And now there's been a couple other accounts, like big accounts that popped up. They kind of shot past me and they just getting like a lot of attention for their coding challenges. But it's rare that people doing coding challenges live, like in front of people, because it's tough, man. Like, I can mess this up at any point, get stuck, and y'all just be looking like this man don't know what he talking about. Like he getting stuck, like in front of everybody. But I always feel like if I can do these coding challenges in front of, 6-7 people, then I can do it in an interview in front of one person. Now, yeah, it's different. The stakes are higher. You're gonna be more nervous, but being able to explain yourself in front of people is a skill you need to practice on its own. You can get good at the technical part, but if you can't explain your thought process while you're going through, you're gonna have a hard time in a coding interview. And so that's why I do these live. And so I think I'm gonna keep doing them live based off this comment, based off other stuff too. But I appreciate that feedback, man, because I think it does help for people to be able to ask questions and see me explain and see me go through it a little bit more deeper than you can do in like a 2-minute reel that most people are doing now. And I'm still gonna do the reels and stuff too, a short like description of the problem and the solution. But I think maybe my unique thing I can bring to the internet is doing these live. And in the past I used to do them like every week. I used to do mediums and hard ones. And man, y'all think this one took a long time to do because I'll talk through it really deeply. if I do a hard one, I did a Airbnb interview, and they gave me a LeetCode hard, or like a coding challenge hard, like a hard level from LeetCode. You're expected to do those in 45 minutes. But when you first start doing them, it could take you an hour just to code through the problem. And I used to do those on here too. So I'm gonna work my way up. I'm gonna do some easies for the next few weeks, the next few times I come on live, and then I'm gonna work my way up to some more mediums, and then I'm gonna do some hard ones too. So yeah. Somebody said, man, I can't trace the code. It's probably because it's gotten a little too tall, man. Let me see. Can zoom down a little bit. Add binary. I mean, it's hard to trace if you don't know how to add binary numbers, for sure. So that may be part of it. And I'm being very minimum with this, with the code here. And so, yeah, maybe hard to trace. Let's see what other comments I got. I'm gonna answer some more questions. Y'all codes, you need to stick with it. Hey, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. I'm gonna keep doing these live coding challenges. Yeah, and if anybody else has, I'm gonna try to go back and see if I can find some questions. Yeah, that's when somebody told me not to use var. I get it. I shouldn't have used var for sure. So appreciate that. Can we use the loop to read the string backwards? Yep, you right. Y'all codes. Binary stuff always tricky for me. Yeah, man. I honestly, when I first did this problem, I didn't even know how to add binary numbers. I knew how to do it from years ago in school. But I forgot how to do it now. I mean, shoot, I'm not adding binary numbers every day. And so you gotta know, that's the problem. That's the hardest part of this problem for people that hadn't seen the problem statement. Given two binary strings, A and B, return their sum as a binary string. The hardest part of this problem is because they give you the binary numbers in strings. That may actually make it easier. I don't know, but they give it to you in strings, so you basically gotta convert it to numbers. You don't even have to convert it to numbers. Actually, I don't know. I just did that. You really don't have to. You kind of could just do it with logic, since you're only dealing with zeros and ones. But you're giving them in strings, so you got to create a new string. And the first hardest part of this problem is you got to know how to add binary numbers. You got to know that 11 plus 1 in binary gives you 100, not 12. That's a hard thing to know. And you got to know over here. That's why I did this up here, is I did this example problem right here. You got to know 1 plus 1 gives you 0 with 1 carry. And then that 1 plus 1, the carry 1 plus the 1 gives you another 0 with 1 carry. And then that carry going down gives you a 1. And you got to know 0 plus 0 normally equals 0. And binary equals 0. But the most important part is these two down here. 1 plus 1 normally gives you 2. But in binary, it actually equals 10. 1 plus 1 plus 1 in normal addition gives you 3. But in binary, it actually gives you 11. So knowing this little matrix right here, in an interview, I would actually write this down, and then I would actually write this down so that when I start doing my code, I'm just trying to replicate what I did, what I know, my facts that I know up here. And this will help the interview, make sure that the interviewer, to make sure he knows or she knows kind of your thought process and what you're doing. So I know it's a little long-winded, but this stuff is hard, man. They still ask this stuff in interviews even today. And so I gotta remember, I'll DM you once I get the wording right. Time complexity is still new to me. Yeah, just ask me anything, man. DM me about time complexity questions. I probably just lost. It's hard to do this stuff, man. You know what I'm saying? It's hard to do these coding challenges by yourself when you're alone at your computer, let alone in front of people, let alone in front of an interviewer, and then trying to answer questions. It's hard to talk about and think about, but I'm trying to get better. I'm pretty good, but I'm trying to get better, man. Always trying to get better, always trying to improve. And when I last I was interviewing, the last time I was interviewing, I'll say, I did these lives in front of people, and it helped me. Because then when I got to the interview, it was kind of it's just one guy sitting on the other side. I'm nervous, but it was like I was so used to explaining to myself that doing these lives definitely helped me become a better interviewer and get better at LeetCode, because I'm like doing it in front of y'all. I'm forgetting stuff. I'm getting nervous. I'm like, dang, man, I don't want to look stupid on the internet. But you kind of got to get over that, man. You got to get over it if you want to. If anything worth doing, you got to kind of it's gonna be kind of tough. It's not gonna be easy. So yeah. So the 100th place is actually the 4th place. Okay. Satchel Universe. If you unlearn your base 10 knowledge, it helps too. What you think is the 10th place is actually the 2's place. Yeah, and the 100th place is actually the 4th place. That makes a lot of sense. So you getting into the deeper thinking of binary numbers that really will help with this problem. Like if you kind of gotta unthink like the 1's place, the 10's place, the 100's place, the 1,000's place, and think of it differently. So I couldn't even think of it on that level. All I could do is just make this little map to just know that binary numbers. I just knew when I get to 2 that I can't use 2, so it's got to be something else. And so it's 10. And I know when I get to 3, I can't use 3. It's got to be something else. It's 11. And I know that's all my possibilities that I could have. So that helped me. Once I had this, then it helped me be able to. And of course, once you have that, then you can do a problem yourself on paper or, typing it out. And then once you get to that, once you're able to solve the problem in your mind and on paper, then the code is just an extension of that. The code is just an extension of you solving the problem. You're solving a real world problem with some code. It took all this code to do it, but, and I could simplify this. I probably could do something different with these if statements, of course. But, just keeping it super simple for LeetCode. And sometimes you want to keep things super simple for your interviewer. You don't want to confuse your interviewer. You don't want them to be like, not knowing what you got going on. You want it to be super clear. As long as it's efficient, as long as the time complexity is good, you should be all right. They might ask you like, hey, you can optimize this, but just go with the flow of what they're asking for. So yeah, I appreciate that. Satchel Universe, man. I know you seem like you got some experience with the binary numbers with coding challenges, maybe. So as Bargy, thanks KG. I enjoy your content. This has been very interesting. Yeah, it's tough to get online and present. You're good at it though. I appreciate that, man. I'm just trying to get better. I'm gonna try to go live more often. I think that's my thing. So I'm gonna try to go live more often. I do post content. Right now I'm live on, if you want to switch over to Twitch or YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter or X or whatever, and Instagram. I'm like live on all that stuff at the same time. I might narrow it down one day, but right now I'm just going for maximum reach. I post content on all those channels as well. So like general content, reels and stuff, and shorts and TikToks. And then I post, carousel posts and all that stuff too. Just tech content, technical content. I'm a software developer. I work professionally as a software developer at a major chat company. So I noticed I've been in the industry for a while, so I'm familiar with this stuff, I guess. Still learning though, I don't know everything about coding challenges. I don't know everything about the tech industry and tech, so I'm still learning with everybody else. And so, I just hop on here to have discussions. So I'll probably next week I might do a Q&A again. Those were pretty cool. I just do a tech industry Q&A, programming Q&A. But I'm gonna definitely be back on here to do more coding challenges like this, and hopefully helping people get into programming while the getting still good before the AI take over and all that stuff. But I think for right now, if they still hiring, get in. I heard people scared. I'll talk about that for a little bit. I heard people scared to get into programming and technical roles because they scared the AI is gonna take over. Okay, what if it do? It ain't took over yet. There's still, the job industry's a little shaky, but they ain't took over yet. If you get in there, you can make, especially if you go for like the FANG companies, you can make some life-changing money in tech. If you especially go for one of those like FANG companies, Facebook, Amazon, Apple, Netflix, or Google, FANG company, You can make a lot of money just in stock options, just in RSUs, and just in total compensation. I mean, some of them give crazy bonuses. Like, even if you just get in, while saying all this to say, even if you get in for 1 or 2 years before the AI revolution takes over, you still way better off than you were before. And you're going to have a skill set that's going to be valuable for something. And so it's my opinion that, AI is going to take over. And I think there will probably be less programmers out there. But I think the ones that really up their skills, because I think what's going to happen is there's going to be a lot of programmers that are coming in that are just using AI tools, but the ones that really study stuff like LeetCode and not LeetCode, but coding challenges specifically, and really get their foundations in place, it's not just about the LeetCode, but it's about being a problem solver. The problem solver is always going to win. They always going to find a problem to solve somewhere. Whether it's with code, whether you're using AI to do the code or you're doing the code yourself, you're still solving problems, and the problem solvers are going to win. And that's what this thing with this LeetCode stuff truly is about. It does have a backdrop of you knowing how to optimize programs and optimize algorithms to save companies resources and money. But on the other end, it's about how do you problem solve and how do you think. And so that's why I get on here and do these to show more how I think, and also teach a little bit about what I know about interviews. I give these interviews. I can't even count how many over the last 5-10 years. So I know how these interviews go from my side from interviewing, and I know how they go from interviewing at the biggest companies in the world to some of the smallest ones. I've seen a lot of different ways they throw these kind of questions at you. So, but I'm still learning, because even y'all comment and stuff, I'm still learning as well. Somebody just commented, S Bargy said he's a Snapita user. That's my mobile app called Snapita, SNIPPETA. Snapita. It's my mobile app, and Android and Apple. It's just snippets. You can save snippets, and I save all my hashtags on there. I save all the stuff I don't feel like retyping. It has a keyboard component. You can I'm just plugging myself now. You can, because I build mobile apps too on the side. You can tap it quickly to get your text back. It's quick shortcuts for your keyboard or whatever at this point. So it's a cool app, man. Y'all go download it. I appreciate S Bargy for being a user of that. It's not a big app or anything like that right now, but I'm hoping that we'll get there one day. So that's a dream of mine for sure. Outside of my regular career. So why do you use var instead of const? I didn't use var. Oh, that wasn't me. That's LeetCode put that. LeetCode put that. So as LeetCode, man, LeetCode's a professional company. Millions of people use LeetCode. Facebook engineers have used LeetCode. Like the best in the world, have used LeetCode. And LeetCode, this was what LeetCode put as the scaffold. The code that I wrote in here is my code. So my code, somebody got on me earlier. I'm not using any vars or anything. LeetCode put this scaffold in place, and they're the ones that did that. So I don't know why they chose to do that. I can change it, but I didn't do it, so it wasn't on me. But anyway, that's a good question though. Shinra, you got the name of the dang Final Fantasy VII folks, enemies or whatever. That's cool, man. What's your favorite VS Code extensions? The night, I think it's called New Moon theme. That's one of my favorite extensions. Any of these new AI extensions that kind of plug into your plug into VS Code to help you code faster, I like those. What else extensions do I like? I don't use a crazy amount of extensions, but I like stuff like the Vue extension, or like any extension that kind of helps with whatever JavaScript framework I'm using. I do a lot of JavaScript stuff. I do some PHP stuff. So like PHP, I don't know the names of these extensions. I just download them and I forget what they are. And so, yeah. Let me see what other comments. I appreciate you bringing it up about that test is outdated. JS use var back in V8. Yeah, it's just outdated. Yeah, I think it's just LeetCode added this way back in the day, and they just never updated it probably. So good point. That's what I love about my career in development. The learning, the unending learning keeps interesting. Yeah, like man, I've been professionally doing it for 10 years, and with this AI stuff recently, it's like we're starting over. Like now I'm like using AI tools and supercharge it. Like I was able to I re-platformed my Snapita app like a couple months ago, and I was able to do it like twice as fast, or shoot, I don't know, maybe like they say 10x devs, maybe 10 times as fast with AI. Now I had to know what I was doing. Now the AI just it's not there yet where I can just let it run. Now it's gotten pretty good, but there's still just some times where it's like me knowing certain things have helped me guide it or helped me fix issues that it couldn't fix. And that, that's just, and maybe I haven't tried every single model and everything. And that's what everybody say, well, you need to try this model and you need to try this model and it'll do that and it'll do it. It's like, yeah, but it's going to have some other thing it can't do. So hey, I'm still in the mind that I'm still valuable. And so, cause I got to keep that mindset so the paychecks keep coming. So I'm going to keep improving myself. So I'm valuable. I can solve problems no matter if it's with AI or whatever the case is. So anyway, I'm just rambling now. A lot of the code challenges don't update their challenges, software updates unless it breaks the challenge. Yeah, so that's probably what it was. But I get that. I'm gonna start just changing that. Every time I get on LeetCode and go on like when they go live, somebody go on there and they say, "Hey man, like why is you using var?" I feel like using var is like that junk like committing. I don't even want to say it, man, because then it might ban my stream or something. But it's like doing something very bad. Like it's like I don't know, like a robbery or something. I don't know. It's just like every time I get on here, I can code the most stupid looking stuff. But if I use one var somewhere, it's over. Like, but I get it though. I get it. It's outdated, and vars can cause, if using var in the wrong place can cause issue because of hoisting. And so, use var somewhere and then the variable gets hoisted up and cause unpredictability in your application or algorithm. So, yeah, I get it, man. I asked about var in the interview yesterday. So, I get it. But, yeah, it's still funny that, that's, gets hit every time. Yeah, for real, though, you still need programming to manage. However, speed of writing stuff is definitely, yeah, right. I think with my job, if I'm being honest, what my job is probably going to turn into in the next 5 years, I'm going to be managing AI agents. So I'm not going to be writing boilerplate code and I'm not going to be writing any of that stuff because the computer is going to the AI is going to be able to write it better, 10 times better than I would. But it's more or less going to be me prompting and managing it. And for my history with the company or companies that I've been in, it's going to be me sort of managing different AI agents, spinning them off to do work. They may just be doing work on their own, completely not sentient, but completely automated, like the AI agent stuff. And it may just be me just reviewing what they're doing and making sure stuff is working properly and fixing things where the prompting isn't working, where it's just getting confused or it's hallucinating or whatever. Because it's still an issue. It's still an issue where the AI doesn't have the context that we have sometimes, and sometimes it just, the way it wants to solve problems aren't the way we want to solve problems. Sometimes it doesn't understand the business behind the problem you're trying to solve. And that's the thing about coding, software, being a software engineer is not just coding. It's a lot more that goes into it with designing solutions, choosing the software to use. AI can choose everything for you, but it may not have the context of hey, this company doesn't have enough money to use this software. It needs to use this software. Or, hey, this vendor, this customer that you have doesn't want you to use this software because it has a security hole in it. So you need to switch to use this. Or, it's just so many different things. And so many different anecdotes I hear when people use AI and they have a lot of security exploits that it doesn't know how to solve. So it's not over for us just yet. But I do feel like you need to, one, as a software engineer, you need to be leaning into AI right now. You need to be using it every day and amplifying your work because all the other developers are doing it. So you're going to be less productive than everybody else if you don't use AI. And that's not programming, that's in any profession that can benefit from AI. You should be using AI right now. I don't care who you are. It's all this random focus on program. I mean, it's not random, but it's all this over focus on programming being taken over by AI. Every job that can be automated is going to be taken over by AI. Programming is just the least of the society's worries, honestly. But it's funny to me that programming it's so close in proximity to the AI stuff that it gets kind of put as the number one thing that's going to get taken over, but it's going to be bad for everybody. So everybody should be using AI because you need to become productive. This is a new, like your coworkers right now are probably using AI if you're not using it, and you're going to get left behind, like as far as productivity. And so you need to be using that for one, and then just upskilling up, like really leaning into your own principles, practices, and tools and technologies you want to use that make you unique and make your experience unique, that companies will find valuable. Like, because sometimes it's about the way you think and the way you work. And yeah, somebody just said skills. OG Barbie said skills matter. Like building up your skills like as much as possible. Yeah, you might not need to focus so much on like every little nuance of learning of code and like memorizing everything. Like you don't need to memorize stuff barely anymore, except for interviews maybe. But beyond that, you really don't need to be deeply memorizing stuff. But like concepts of problem solving with software, like solving problems with software through software development, building that overall skill. That may mean coding, that may mean DevOps, that may mean reviewing code, that may mean how to bet what technologies you use in your products, choosing the best technologies, how those technologies work together, performance issues, security issues, like really just being more well-rounded than just a code monkey is what they used to call it. But you know, it's a weird term. But yeah, just knowing how to code, and it's not going to be enough anymore. Like just thinking you're just going to come to work in a software engineering job and you're just going to code without having to think about the business and think about technologies and I don't know, the deeper things that come with a programming job, it's just not going to cut it anymore. And so yeah, that's just basically my long-winded rant for the whole AI stuff. So we'll be all right. I'm gonna be all right. I know I'm gonna do what I need to do to be okay. And so I believe that until it tells me, you know, till the AI come tap me on the shoulder, AI robot or something tap me on the shoulder and say, hey man, you out of here or something. I'm gonna keep on trying to improve. Cause I just truly believe that the people that are gonna always win are the problem solvers. Like whether you're solving problems with code or software or DevOps or, you know, cloud, you know, you're working in the cloud, cloud solutions. That's who's going to win. That's who's going to still have a job. That's who's going to, you know, work with the AI. And that's, you know, those are going to be the people. But the people that are just kind of like afraid to solve problems and learn and grow and stuff, those are going to be the ones that kind of like are going to have the most trouble, I think. So that's why I'm just trying to tell everybody as much as possible, you know, of my opinion and from what I know being in the industry for a long time. I've been trying for 4 years, mid-size to startups, change resume and stuff, struggle currently, only teach programming. So you write with AI, I still want to be in the industry. Yeah, man, just keep trying, man. I get it. It's really hard. Like, I mean, you can DM me. I'm sure there's probably some things, maybe some advice I can give on how to sort of help break into the industry. I will say the job market is not good right now. Like I've just talked to a lot of people, fellow developers very recently, and a lot of them, you know, is having a hard time finding jobs. So, and a lot of companies are having struggles and laying people off, and that's in any industry. So, it's tough right now. So it is harder to get a job right now, a programming job specifically, than it used to be. But that doesn't mean it's not possible. It just means it just has to be very focused and make sure you're doing the right things. And so, you know, maybe I can give some advice. I can't, you know, I don't have time to just dig down super deep, but for anybody on here within ear reach of this, like, please DM me if you have questions. Like, I answer questions all day, or not all day. That's crazy, but I answer questions as soon as I get them. You know, like or not as soon as I get them. That's crazy too. I answer questions as soon as I can through DM. So if you have a question about career or coding or anything, like about, tech industry or software development, just let me know if I can help. Hopefully I can. And we'll go from there. So yeah, my phone's about to die. I think this is it. I think we're about to shut it down. I appreciate everybody that's joined, especially the people that joined and commented and stuff, and anybody that's joined and just watched for a few seconds. I appreciate it. And I'm gonna be back on here soon with hopefully next week. If not, I'm gonna try to do this every week. I'm gonna try to go live for something every week, even if it's just Q&A. So y'all try to keep me accountable to it. If y'all see I ain't been on here, send me a DM. But I appreciate y'all. I hope this was helpful. I hope the discussion and questions were helpful. Follow each other, ping each other, meet people in the chat and everything. And good luck in whatever you got going on. And have a good night or good evening or good morning wherever you're at. Appreciate y'all.